Ready to focus on our issues, our solutions, using our voices on Black Focus Radio.
Welcome to Black Focus, the show designed with our community in mind, where we focus on our issues, developing our solutions, using our voices. Central Arkansas, surrounding areas, and the nation. Get ready. Black Focus starts right now. Phone lines open at 855-525-5683. So here's your host, David W. Coleman and Robert Webb.
All right, welcome to the show. It's the Tuesday edition of Black Focus Radio. Our issues, our solutions, our voices on JayZ.com. We're here every day, Monday through Friday, noon to 2 p.m. You can call me up at 855-525-5683 as the number if you'd like to join the show. Got a lot of stuff to talk about today. Of course, you can also catch us on YouTube. You can catch us on Facebook Live. A lot of different venues right now. We're eventually going to start doing some others as well. So we'll get all of that in also. Robert Webb will be out today. And so we will, he may call in, but he had some business to take care of, which, you know, Robert does his thing. So appreciate him contributing when he can. So he'll be out today, but hey, the show must go on. One monkey don't stop no show. No, I'm not calling Robert a monkey, so don't get upset about that. Also, make sure you go out and like me on YouTube, like this page, like this show on Facebook. We've got a lot of stuff we're trying to grow and grow and grow. I will tell you that there is a lot of stuff down the pipe for listeners of JayZ Radio, so you just stick and stay. We are growing. We're growing slowly, but we're growing steadily. So, and of course, you heard us talk a lot about yesterday and the Little Rock Central broadcast that's going to start next week. By the way, let me just quickly play this promo for you. One of the reasons that I'm running late, I usually have stuff posted and ready to go, but I've been putting together this promo. I want y'all to hear this. Let me see if you like it.
Central High football Tigers are back. Head football coach Kent Left to lead the Tigers into a promising 2019 football season. Catch all of the great home game action. Join the Tigers for home games against West Memphis, Rogers Heritage, North Little Rock, Bryant, Cabot, and Fort Smith Southside. Former Tiger player David W. Coleman brings you all of the exciting play-by-play analysis. Hell to the old gold, hell to the black. The Little Rock Central High football Tigers are back right here on JayZ.com.
So that's the new promo. I'm really excited about it. I'm really excited about the relationship that we're developing with Little Rock Central, my alma mater, and certainly a team that I played for and had some great times, not just as a football player and an athlete, but just in the halls of Little Rock Central. So as we continue to develop this relationship, we'll give you more information. But I will tell you that the first home game that we'll be broadcasting is October 27th. That is part of the Football Classic. We are the Little Rock Central Radio Network, okay? So we will be broadcasting from the Little Rock Central perspective. So that's so we're really excited about that. Got a lot of stuff to talk about today. Just quickly, I'll read the tease to you. Of course, I know you can read. But today on Black Focus Radio, the fires keep burning under JayZ's butt as Kenny Stills lights him up again. Marcellus Wiley is a damn fool, and I'll explain what that means here in a little bit. And former white male terrorist attempts to at mass shooting stopped. And Gary Webb would be 63 today if he had not shot himself in the head twice. Also, a black woman married a white supremacist complains Trump is ruining her marriage. I got about 2 tears for you, and if it doesn't, 2 tears in a bucket, if it doesn't fill it, you know the deal. Right? So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Among other things, there were a lot of things that we didn't get to yesterday because we talked a lot more about Little Rock Central than we had planned to. And we didn't do a black fact today. So tell you what, let's go ahead and do that right now.
Dynamic Black Facts. Our culture, our history, our people.
All right, so this Dynamic Black Fact is brought to you by Dr. Naeem Akbar. Visions for Black Men is one of his books that he wrote. Just check this out, folks. I think you'll like it.
They spotted our brightest ones, snatched them quick. They tried to kill them, then they tried to drive them crazy, and then they simply reprogrammed them. So we lost many.
Hey, Jackie.
Look how many we kept. The development of the minds that we have cannot be understood using any concept of educational or training theory. It can't be understood. If you deal economically, you can't explain our economic situation based upon economic theory. We are not supposed to be here. And not only are we here, we got billions of dollars. We got good money. We just don't have good sense. But look, don't let nobody fool you. I mean, this is where I agree with Tony Brown up and down. I don't agree with his party affiliation, but I agree with him up and down. You got the money. I mean, I have seen it over and over again. Black folks can buy whatever they want to buy. Do whatever they want to do financially. Because we've got a power that's bigger than money. I mean, psychologically, we should have been devastated. You think some of us are crazy, all of us should be crazy. Every one of us. Every one of us. You think we have a few junkies. Any brother who's not a junkie is a miracle. Any sister who's not an alcoholic or suicidal is a miracle. Don't you know that the black women having to deal with black children, black men, white women, white children, and deal with what they've dealt with all these years and not be stark, raving lunatics? Don't you know that's a miracle? Don't you know that's a miracle? That's a miracle. Now, that's a miracle. Wait. Wait a minute. Now, wait a minute. Now, listen now. A lot of you all are crazy. Stop raving mad. It took its toll. What I'm saying is it's surprising that all of you are crazy. Some of y'all just as silly as you can be. Hush, fool. You understand? I mean, the fact that there's one brother who's willing to be a father, a husband, take on responsibility of leadership. The fact that you can produce one brother, handsome, intelligent, well-liked by white folks and black folks alike, could be doing whatever he wanted to do and decide that I'll go fight for black folks and make enemies everywhere. How do you come up with one of these? Not based on any psychological theory we've got. And ain't ego tripping either. If he was ego tripping, he didn't have to do what he's doing. I mean, like, you know, what Reggie Jackson think he could do, John Wiley Price could equal and excel overnight. You see, so it ain't about arrogance. And the point of it is that by the mere nature of his commitment shows otherwise. And I'm telling you, these are things that we've got to understand, that our very survival is miraculous. You don't know how hard they work to not let us be here. First of all, they uneducated us, then they miseducated. They've somehow given us the paradigm. They've given us the insanity. They've given us themselves as God. They've given us everything that we were supposed to make sure we never got out of this mess. We were not supposed to have anybody fighting on our behalf. Afrocentricity was never supposed to come up. We were never supposed to know that Africans gave the world civilization. We were never supposed to know any of that. That was never supposed to happen. We were never supposed to have black men standing up again, talking like men. And
That was the great Dr. Naeem Akbar. You know, I guess I echo what he was saying in that piece. I've seen this speech multiple times. That's only 4 minutes of it. If you're not familiar with Dr. Akbar, his name is spelled, his first name is Naim. His last name is spelled Akbar. If you've never heard this brother speak, if you've never heard read anything that he's written, you owe it to yourself. He wrote one of the books, Visions for Black Men. And what he's talking about is many things that I've said over and over again, that black people today are here in spite of what white people did to us. Let me say that again. Black people are here today, standing tall, in spite of what white people did to us. Hello? So you doubt that, huh? So on the shores of West Africa or East Africa, where battles raged when white slavers came to kidnap, and those they couldn't kidnap, they destroyed. The Middle Passage, where black men and black women and black children were tied together like logs in the bellies of a ship. And they were able to move forward and live, where many of them were thrown overboard. You know, there are stories where many of those sharks would follow the slave ships from the east coast of Africa to America, because they knew that was somewhere along the line there was going to be a free meal for them, because black bodies were thrown overboard. But even still, those who survived, who had to sleep and use the bathroom, you know, feces and urine and regurgitations, where you all had to live for days upon days, weeks upon weeks, in the belly of slave ships to arrive in the Americas and to endure the most horrific and peculiar institution of slavery. And your ancestors prevailed, and then you had to live through the black codes and the Jim Crows, the KKK, and the civil rights struggle, and even today we're still fighting. But you are here for a reason. You live for a reason. There is no reason why you should be looking down at your brother or your sister. We need to come together. As Dr. Naeem Akbar said, we have the power. We certainly have the money. We spend $1.2 trillion annually as a black community, more than the gross national product of Canada, more than the 9th largest nation of the world. Anything we want to buy, we can buy. The problem is we just have no unity. We just have no unity. That's the message I believe in, is unity. That's the message that we can use to finally rise up and be the wonderful nation, the children of not slaves, but kings and queens and architects and scientists and builders and astrologers. That's who we are. That's who we must believe we are. We must teach our children that same thing, that, you know, twerking ain't a thing. Walking around with your pants hanging off your butt ain't a thing. But standing tall as a black man and a woman is the thing. And that's our Black Fact for today. Now, if you want to sponsor Black Facts, call me up at 615-554-0568. Let's make this thing happen. Okay. Now I want to thank everybody for joining the show, and certainly the show is growing. Remember, go out to Facebook, go out to YouTube, like those pages. We are trying, and make sure you subscribe if you're on YouTube. We're trying to get 1,000 people. We got a long way to go, but I believe in my heart that we can get this done. I believe in my heart that what you hear is what you believe, and we can get this done. No one can save us from us, for us, but us. We should not be dependent on the government to save our children. We should not be dependent on the government to educate our children. We must educate ourselves. That is the only way. You heard Dr. Akbar talk about they didn't plan for us. First they didn't educate us, then they miseducated us. They didn't plan for us to be where we are today. My brothers and sisters, do you hear me? Man. All right. So let's talk about a couple of things here. First of all, yeah, we're going to still talk a little bit about the Colin Kaepernick situation. I want to go in on Marcellus Wiley. It's funny to me that all of these people are excited about JayZ. We know now that JayZ has been promised maybe he'll get to be able to become the majority owner in an NFL franchise. We know now that what JayZ did last weekend had nothing to do with Colin Kaepernick, but had everything to do with his bottom line. Ain't mad at him, but instead of us carrying JayZ's water, you should be angry that here's another black man who's gotten to come up on the backs of the black community, and now he's turned his back on the black community for his bottom line. That's what people are upset about. This is more than Colin Kaepernick. This is about a black man. We see this all the time in our community, whether you be black or white. You build your businesses, you build your reputation on the black community. You know, I've got friends who have cupcake companies and cheesecake companies and all kinds of company where they first got their first dollar from black people. And then when white people started buying from them, they turned their backs on the black community. You know, we talked a little bit about what are the obligations of corporate America. Corporate America doesn't deserve a pat on the back for doing things that Americans help you build your dollars. The dollars that every corporation, every small business has is because of people. You didn't do it by yourself. I get offended when I hear somebody say, well, you know, I did this all by myself. No, you didn't. You're a damn lie. You didn't do it by yourself. No man is an island in this world. You cannot live, you cannot survive without someone helping you get where you need to get to. JayZ, Ben Carson, Steve Harvey. You cannot survive without someone saying, hey, I believe in you. I'm going to spend my money on you. I'm going to help you get to school so you can get that education. You didn't do it all by yourself, JayZ. So you are not obligated to walk away from people who help build you. You don't have the right to walk on the backs of people that bought your records and use them for your self-aggrandizement. You know, for a long time, I have always said that I don't listen to rappers. I don't care how much money you make. Anyone who pushes poison into my community, I have a problem with you, whether you're black or white. That's what the rap movement did. The rap movement told your kids to become gangbangers and drink lean and smoke crack, you know, and take mollies. That's what that's what rappers do. And while they're cashing your checks, mama and daddy, is putting money on your child's books in jail. So I, as a black man, I can't applaud JayZ I can't applaud an industry that did more to color the thought processes of black men than any other industry. Because we understand that the record industry was ran by white people who used black males to sell records. And they would tell these black males, you're not hard enough. You're not hard enough. We need more guns. We need more violence. We need more bitches and hoes in your music. No, I can't applaud JayZ. I don't care if you did grow up and listening to JayZ and it made you pat your foot and shake your butt. JayZ is no hero. JayZ is an opportunist who used black people to get to come up. Don't care if you don't like me. Don't care if you don't agree with me. But you go back and look at the facts. While they're sending their kids to college at Ivy League schools, you're sending your kids to prison, juvenile justice centers off of their music. My daughter ain't a bitch. My daughter ain't a hoe. My son is not a nigga, JayZ. That's the poison. You're no better. You know, right now people are upset at Joe Biden because Joe Biden helped push the 1994 crime bill. And that bill put more black males in prison than any other instance since Civil War, since Reconstruction. And people are upset. Well, what do you think the rap industry did, JayZ? So here's my point. Everybody wants to carry water for JayZ because everybody thinks JayZ is going to make a change. JayZ is not going to do anything more than any of these so-called business people have done. What JayZ is proposing, he wants to do criminal justice reform. Well, welcome to the damn party, JayZ. We've been talking about this for 20 years. What do you think JayZ is going to do? What do you think the NFL is going to do? See, here's what the NFL did. See, JayZ thinks he's so damn smart, he's stupid. Because the NFL did nothing but stereotype him. As they do the black community. As many whites do the black community. Because they think we speak with one voice. They think that we can get one leader. They think that we can get just one guy. And that one guy will say what every black person means. He said, Dr. King, people don't realize that everybody wasn't for what Dr. King did. There were a whole lot of people that were against Dr. King because they didn't believe in the nonviolent approach. And many of y'all might say, well, it worked. Did it? What do you have based on what Dr. King did for you? Not a damn thing. We are living in the same times that they were in the 50s and the 60s. So what did Dr. King really do except become a great orator? Oh, I'm sorry if you're a Dr. King fan. I am too. But we have to have critical thinking when we are trying to get the come up. I've said it over and over again. If white people wanted us to be free, if white people wanted our children to be smart and educated, then they would have done it a long time ago. But everywhere we look, they run interference. Right here in Little Rock, Arkansas alone, they stole the school system from black elected officials because they didn't want black people running the school system. JayZ. They created white flight because they didn't want their children going to school with our children. Although my co-host disagrees with me, white people created racism. We did not. They have to fix this. We cannot. So Marcellus Wiley has the unmitigated gall, and those of you who don't know Marcellus Wiley, I had respected Marcellus Wiley until this point. Because no matter what color you are, what hue of blackness that you are still black. Let me read this to you. Ex-NFL player Marcellus Wiley says, mixed race Colin Kaepernick can't feel full weight of injustice. Huh? So what you're saying to me is that anyone who had ancestors who were raped by their slave owners and their blood makes them lighter than we are, they can't feel the full weight of injustice? Wait a minute. I imagine Angela Davis would debate that. I imagine Sister Sonia Sanchez would debate that. Let me read what Marcellus Wiley said, because this ignorance is exactly what the enemy wants you to do. Because, see, Marcellus Wiley doesn't understand that his statement reeks of white supremacy. Wow. Man. Oh, wait a minute. We have audio. Let's play this audio.
You don't become Marcy Projects to billionaire and not be smart and have your spidey sense that can read this. And JayZ is guilty of giving Kaepernick a pass the same way I was guilty of giving him a pass. I was conflicted. From day one, I was against him kneeling. And I said, get up, get those resources, because where we're from, your kneeling at kickoff has nothing to do with our situation unless you translate that, materialize it, and monetize it. JayZ waited long enough and finally said, I'm going to step past this dude to get this right. This is an identity issue. You know why the identity of this movement has been lost? You know why the identity has been lost in this platform of kneeling, and what does it really mean? Because the identity of those who are leading it has always been in question. Let's keep it 1,000 up here, because my past is hot. My past has expired for this. The past has expired. I've been going back and forth with this from day one at ESPN. Let's go. Kaepernick comes from a situation where he's never felt the full weight of these injustices. This is a mixed race guy who was raised by a white family from Wisconsin to Central California. Respect. That does not disqualify you from talking for us. But when you make missteps and miscalculations, it comes back into play. And he never spoke on this when Black Lives Matters movement was at its height. Think about it, 2013, 2014, Ferguson, where JayZ is building prisoners out and doing protesters out and taking pictures and supporting Trayvon Martin and that family. What was Kaepernick? You know what he was? Taking his shirt off, bro. I knew Kaepernick back then. He was never talking about this. He meets Nessa 2015, all of a sudden 2016 he gets benched. Flip-flop. Not mad, that still doesn't disqualify you. But Nessa comes into play now. And we all know Nessa. Respect to her and her ethnicity, but it's not black. Okay? So now we got two leaders who don't even feel the weight of the consequences. So guess what you are allowed to do right now? Have convenience. Ain't no cosmetics here, bro. When I'm in Compton, when I'm in South Central and Harlem, that's my childhood to manhood, 0 to 22 years old.
That's Marcellus Wiley. So Marcellus Wiley has allowed his love and his love for the media to make him sound like a damn fool. It doesn't matter what hue you are. You know, it doesn't matter what point that you come to the movement. What matters is you come to the movement, and once you get there, what do you do? Let me ask you, Marcellus Wiley, what did you do for the movement? Since you black, since you dark skinned, since you want to call out Colin Kaepernick because he has a white parent, what did you do, Marcellus Wiley? I don't remember you doing a damn thing. I remember you being on ESPN running your mouth. But I don't remember you. I'm trying to remember, Marcellus. What did you do, my brother? What have you done for the movement, Marcellus? This man gave up his football career and millions of dollars. You can't. I'm sorry. You want to question that? So what Marcellus is doing is attacking Colin Kaepernick because he's JayZ's buddy. He carrying water for JayZ. Marcellus want a job. But Marcellus hadn't done anything for the black community. But you attack someone who's doing something, who brought light, who, look, let me ask you a question. If Colin Kaepernick had never brought light to this issue, where would this issue be? Would JayZ even be? Look, see, here's the thing about it. If Colin Kaepernick had never brought light to this issue, would JayZ be in the position that he's in today? Would JayZ be able to have used Colin Kaepernick to stick his foot in the NFL door? You don't get that, Marcellus. So what is this all of a sudden everybody, you are doing just what white supremacists want you to do. Find them a good Negro and let's turn that Negro against the people. Huh? That's what Marcellus Wiley is doing. How dare him? I stand with Colin Kaepernick. I don't stand with Marcellus Wiley, and I don't stand with JayZ, who pumped dirty music into our community so he could become a billionaire. In fact, I don't care for none of them. I know y'all love y'all some Snoop Dogg and Ice Cube and Ice-T and whomever else. But they pumped that dirty, nasty music into our communities, and they made millions of dollars off of it. They are living high on the hog. And then they say, look, let me tell you something. What is the difference in these rappers and a drug dealer? What is the difference in JayZ and Nino Brown? You remember Nino Brown, right? He was that famous drug dealer in the movies. And you know what he would do is on Christmas and Thanksgiving, he'd come and bring turkeys to the black community. But all the other time, he was selling poison to the black community, where they were killing and raping and maiming and robbing. And Nino Brown thought he was a hero. What is the difference in the poison that rappers have pumped into our communities and Nino Brown or any drug dealer out there? Y'all tell me, because I'm tired of this stupidity. You have been pumping poison into our community for decades. What is the difference in JayZ and Freeway Rick Ross, who the CIA used to pump crack cocaine into our community? You tell me, because those rappers was glorifying this. If you are concerned about criminal justice reform, then reform your damn music. Reform your music. What's the difference, my brothers and sisters? This real talk. You pumped, see, if you understand the media the way I do, I've been in this business a long time. The most powerful weapon, and I've told you all this over and over and over again, the most powerful weapon is not a gun, it's your mind. And if I can control your mind, I can control you. So I have to pump stuff into your mind that will make you act a certain way. Let me break it down to you more simplistically. It's hot outside. I don't know where you are, but here in Little Rock, it's burning up hot. I remember that song too, LaTanya. Your mama on crack rocks. Hello? That's the mess they were pumping in. These were black people, black males. Wait a minute. Biggie is dead because of a beef, right? Tupac is dead because of a beef between black people. This is the mess that y'all were pumping in our communities. And now you want me to laud you as some type of hero? Hell no. Y'all go right ahead. That's the problem. Yeah, JayZ's got the monetary come up. But now that he's used black people and abused black people and had black people killed because of his legacy and his music, now all of a sudden everybody want to say JayZ is some type of god. No, he isn't. No, he isn't. I'm just saying, my brothers and sisters, we are acting just the way white supremacists want us to do. Divide and conquer. And just because you have a political platform or a radio show, you want to be the opposite. You want to say the most, you want to say the most outrageous thing so you can get headlines. And it makes no damn sense at all. Not one iota. So Marcellus Wiley, you're the joke, my friend. Just because Colin Kaepernick has a light complexion, he doesn't have the right to stand for black issues. Don't you understand? I was talking to a sister about a week or so ago, and her name, I'll keep her name private, but she was talking about how difficult it is. She takes a beating from both sides. She's not white enough, and she's not black enough. And she was almost in tears as she told me some of the stories of how black people treated her because she had light skin. You don't think she's black? Her hair looked like mine. She spoke like I did. She grew up in a hood. But because she was light-skinned, black people dogged her. Now, that doesn't mean that dark-skinned people don't get dogged either. That's not the point here. I'm simply saying that you're exactly right. It's colorism. All of us are black. Not because we want... Light-skinned people are not light-skinned because they wanted to. They're light-skinned because their ancestors were raped by white men. Let me say that again. That light complexion is there because their ancestors, their female ancestors, were raped by white men. Is there any difference from a black woman being raped by a white man? No, there isn't. Let's listen to Kenny Stills.
He could have reached out to Tom. He could have reached out to me. Some of the ways that he answered his questions, talking about we're moving masculinity, like he had a protest. Just choosing to speak for the people like he had spoken to the people. And I think sometimes I notice that I wonder how many common people that he knows, that he's spoken to. I wonder if he's read my Facebook comments or my Instagram comments or some of the things that people say to me. To be able to speak on and say that we're moving past something, it didn't seem very fun.
That's Kenny Stills, the Miami Dolphin wide receiver, who called out his owner for supporting Donald Trump. And not only did he call out his owner, Kenny still continues to kneel. Not only did he call out his owner, but he had a face-to-face meeting with his owner because, see, here's what they do. They throw a rock and they hide their hands. See, just because his owner has an inner city program called RISE that is supposedly helping black kids, but he turns around and supports a president who hates black people. You can't have it both ways. See, that's what people want today. You want to have it both ways. It's kind of like being almost pregnant or being a little pregnant. You're either pregnant or you're not. You either support black causes or you don't. You're either a black man or you're not. And by the way, Kenny Stills is a light-skinned brother. So I'm wondering if Marcellus Wiley would say to Kenny Stills, because he has light skin, he doesn't have a right to make comments. I'm just wondering. Because whether you're light, bright, it doesn't matter. You're still black. You still get discriminated against. So Marcellus Wiley is feeling bad about himself. So, I'm going to take a break here, and I'm going to go out. I'm just curious. And maybe you all can do it. Go out and Google Marcellus Wiley's wife. I don't know who he's married to. But I'm wondering. That just hit me. But for Marcellus Wiley, look, if you want to say colorism, if you want to say you support JayZ, that's fine. But to go after Colin Kaepernick because he was adopted by a white family, Jimmy Butler? Jimmy Butler is a NBA basketball player who was, guess what? Adopted by a white family. But see, the difference in Jimmy Butler and Colin Kaepernick, Jimmy Butler is black. He has a darker complexion. So are you saying that any black person who is adopted by a white family, they don't have the right to speak on black issues? Is that what I'm understanding here? Steve Harvey was adopted by a white woman. Steve Harvey. Y'all didn't know that, did you? Steve Harvey has a show. Are you saying that Steve Harvey doesn't have a right to speak on black issues because he was adopted by a white family? That is the most asinine thing I've ever heard in my life. Come on, folks. We're going to take a break. I got to go out and Google Marcellus Wiley. I'm curious. I'm curious. Now, if I Google Marcellus Wiley's wife and she's light-skinned or he's married to a white woman, oh boy, I just hope that's not the case. I don't know. But we're about to find out, aren't we? You're listening to Black Focus Radio. I'm Dynamic Dave on JoinNetRadio.com.
Hell to the old gold, hell to the black. The Little Rock Center High football Tigers are back. Head football coach Kent Left to lead the Tigers into a promising 2019 football season. Catch all of the great home game action. Join the Tigers for home games against West Memphis, Rogers Heritage, North Little Rock, Bryant, Cabot, and Fort Smith Southside. Former Tiger player David W. Coleman brings you all of the exciting play-by-play analysis. Hell to the old gold, hell to the black. The Little Rock Central High football Tigers are back right here on JoinNetRadio.com.
How many people have come up to you and said, hey, I didn't know you had a business? Yeah, that could happen when you don't have it. I have a solution for you. Advertise on JoinNetRadio.com and let the world know that you're in business. I know what you're thinking. Advertising is so expensive. I've got a great package for you that will cut your expense and increase your bottom line. It's only $125 for startup and new businesses. Call me, David W. Coleman, 615-554-0568, and I'll put together a package specifically for your business. Now is the time to tell the world, hey, I'm in business. Come spend your money on quality goods in my store. Let us help you at JoinNetRadio.com. 615-554-0568. We are here to assist you in building your brand. Hi, I'm attorney good. And I want to help you what is coming to me.
Ooh, Lord have mercy. You ignorant fool, you.
501-505. Don't pay for legal business from law.
Lord have mercy. My God, we are lost. We are so lost.
so glad I found a Kick Above. It's like my very own personal training studio. A Kick Above removed the guesswork and intimidation and offered me a very supportive and structured environment specific to my personal goals. Kim Leverett and her certified personal trainers even offered nutritional guidelines for my personal workout. It's about me at a Kick Above. Call 501-868-8850 or go to akickabove.com. Now, what am I wearing tonight? Thanks to a Kick Above, I look marvelous.
Mitchell Funeral Home welcomes all of Arkadelphia and Arkansas in Clark County since 1966. At Mitchell Funeral Home, they understand that the funeral is a celebration of life and legacy, so the entire staff takes great pride in the caring, personal, and professional services they provide. Cremations, funeral planning, burial policy, life insurance, notary, and monument sales are just a few of the services they offer. Flexible packages are available as well. Mitchell Funeral Home appreciates the trust and confidence placed in them and will continue to enhance their services so as to serve you better. Call now. Get connected. 870-246-2611. That's 870-246-2611. Call, click, or come by. MitchellFuneralServices.com. Don't wait till we need it. Call us now. Let's walk through this together. 870-246-2611. It's quality you can appreciate and service you can depend on at Mitchell Funeral Home.
All right, welcome back to the show. So, I was talking in the last segment about Marcellus Wiley going off on Colin Kaepernick because Colin Kaepernick has a light complexion and he was adopted by a white woman, a white family, and raised by a white family. There are a lot of people who are adopted by white families who are afraid to step out of their comfort zone. So I decided that, sometimes you have to be careful of what you say because the internet will make a damn fool out of you. So I decided that it would be since Marcellus Wiley wants to come out and say, well, Colin Kaepernick, he didn't get involved with the Black Lives Matter movement. But I know Colin Kaepernick for an entire year, for the last 3 years, he has not been able to play in the NFL. Sometimes, all of us mature physically and mentally at different stages. It doesn't matter how you get here, as long as you got here. I could tell 10 people to come down to this radio station, and all 10 of those people will take different routes to this station, but the ultimate goal is to get here. So, as I was talking last segment, it hit me. Here's Marcellus Wiley. I know to some extent a lot what Colin Kaepernick has done. I don't know what Marcellus Wiley has done. So I decided that I would go out and Google Marcellus Wiley. So first and foremost, Marcellus Wiley says that Colin Kaepernick can't be part of this movement because of how he was raised and his skin complexion. So I decided that, hey, let me go and see who Marcellus Wiley is married to. Now, Marcellus Wiley is married to a black woman, but guess what? She has a light complexion. So that means that her ancestors were raped by slave owners, just like Colin Kaepernick's ancestors. Hello. So Marcellus Wiley, if you don't like Colin Kaepernick because of his complexion, how the hell are you married to a light-skinned sister? Notice I called her a sister because it doesn't matter what skin complexion she has, she's still a sister. Furthermore, I decided to dig a little deeper because Colin Kaepernick, not only has he sacrificed millions of dollars of an NFL salary, but he turned around and started putting together, I remember he was setting up homeless men with suits so they could go apply for jobs, among other things that he's done since he was kicked out, since he was blackballed by the NFL. So I decided to see, I just Googled Marcellus Wiley charities. Okay? So when I Googled that charity, and I'm thinking, oh, there's a foundation called Billions Rising Foundation. And on their homepage, there's Marcellus Wiley, the black man who was criticizing Colin Kaepernick. And I'm thinking, oh, well, that's nice. You know, he's got a charity and, you know, see, I understand how these charities work because working with NFL players, see, they typically use NFL players as front people, but the NFL players don't have anything to do with them other than signing a check. Hello? So I decided to just quickly, during that break, do a cursory glance at this 501c3 tax-exempt status organization. It's based in San Rafael, California. Now, I'm thinking right off the bat, that's Marcellus Wiley's charity. Okay? But the only thing that I see in this is about his football prowess, where he grew up, who he played for. Okay? I don't see anything else what Marcellus Wiley is doing with this charity. So then I decided to click on that little link that says About Us. So as I go down the list, I see the founder of this charity. Guess what? Would it surprise you to know that the founder of this charity is not Marcellus Wiley? The founder of this charity, as a matter of fact, is a white woman. Her name is Anita Casalino. As I go and look at the board of directors, we've got Janet Lipsey. She's on the board of directors. We have Janine Parra. She's the board treasurer. There's Barbara Bergstrom. She's the secretary. There's Allison Marshall. Debbie Meslow. All of them are white women. Not one black person is on this board of directors. So Marcellus Wiley, help a black man out. Thou dost protest too much. You a hypocrite, brother. You coming after Colin Kaepernick, and Colin Kaepernick has a litany of things that he's done since the NFL blackballed him. And you got your face on this charity, and there's not one black person on the board of directors. Not one. That's why you have to be careful of your messengers, ladies and gentlemen. You carrying water for JayZ because you want to get paid. You don't believe in nothing you just said. You don't believe in any of that. What a joke. I respected you, brother. At the end of the day, if nothing else, if you disagree with Colin Kaepernick, that's certainly your right. But to attack him because of the color of his skin, because he was raised with a white family. I know a very dear friend of mine right now who's a black guy who adopts children. I have so much respect for him. He's probably listening right now. He know who I'm talking about. I'm not going to call his name, but part of the reason I have so much respect for him because he adopts black children. He adopts white children. It doesn't matter to him. He understands that those children need a home. They need some love. And see, at the time that Colin Kaepernick was adopted, he didn't have any of that. We in the black community, part of the reason there are more black males in the juvenile justice system because we don't adopt them. And because Colin Kaepernick was adopted by a white family, you gonna go in on him like that? Man, you a damn fool. Dude, you're an idiot. I've said it all the time. Just because someone is famous, just because someone can rap, someone can sing, that doesn't mean that they have common and logical sense. And what Marcellus Wiley did to Colin Kaepernick proves beyond a shadow of a doubt that point. I respect this, my friend, that adopts those children. You know what? I think he's better than me, because I haven't adopted anybody. I think he's a better man than me. I think he's a better black man than me, because he understands the importance of raising a child, being raised in a home, in a loving house. And not only does he adopt, he's encouraged some of his relatives to do the same. So I'm offended at what I am offended to my soul that Marcellus Wiley would attack Colin Kaepernick and say he doesn't deserve to speak for black people because he had a white parent and he was adopted. That should offend us all. Oh my God. I'm sad. This is what racism has done to us. This is what white supremacy continues to do to us. This is why I fight it with every ounce of my being. And this is why I will fight it until the day I die. And then I'm going to come back and haunt the white supremacists. This, what Marcellus Wiley did to Colin Kaepernick, the white supremacists are saying, go, blackie. Go, nigga. Now just remember, we still don't want you in our neighborhoods. We still don't want your sons to marry my children, Marcellus. We got to take the top of the hour break. I got to recuperate. I got to recover. I'm stunned. I don't care what color you are, as long as you're black. Someone sent me a post yesterday. It was a meme, and it had the different hues of black people. It went from light yellow to tan, all the way back to black. And then someone posted a picture of the different colors of black women. Man, that they run the gamut. They are the most beautiful women in the world. That's why so many want them. And here is a dark-skinned brother chastising Colin Kaepernick because he has light skin and he is married to a light-skinned woman. I'll be damned. Back in a moment.
Ladies and gentlemen, saints abroad, get ready from Sumter, South Carolina. It's Minister Lee Burgess and Resurrection. Is there anybody here that know anything about old school church? Minister Lee Burgess and Resurrection, a talented bunch of seasoned veterans, have been doing this a little while now, but have just released for your enjoyment their new single. Save me, Jesus. Save me, Jesus. Save me, Burgess and Resurrection. This new project is available on all digital outlets. Get yours now and catch up to what everybody's been talking about. Minister Lee Burgess and Resurrection. Call now, 803-847-6227. That's 803-847-6227. And enjoy Minister Lee Burgess and Resurrection. Save me, Jesus. Save me, hey, lock this number in. 501-406-7134. That's 501-406-7134. That will get you some fabulous chicken wings delivered right to your door. I'm talking great American chicken wings with all of the flavors like spicy cajun, honey hot, garlic hot, atomic hot, ranch hot, hot buffalo, chipotle, chili, all American, spicy lemon pepper, just to name a few. Oh, you want me to keep going? Yeah, country fried, mild barbecue, honey mustard, taco deal. Oh, I'm telling you, it's going down. Just call the number 501-406-7134. That's 501-406-7134. It's the great American wings, and I'm telling you, they are delicious and delivered right to your door. Call that number and get in touch today. As a matter of fact, you can drop by. We're located at 6323 Kirkland Road in Little Rock. That's Great American Wings.
Hi, I'm attorney Theodore Thompson from the Thompson Law Firm, and I want to help with your legal matters. Whether it's criminal defense, bankruptcy, personal injury, or family law, I want to help you. I can be reached at 501-503-5095. Don't face your legal issues alone. You need an attorney whose primary objective is to provide you with the best legal representation. Our office address is 415 North McKinley, Suite 710 in Little Rock. I'm attorney Theodore Thompson, and I want to provide you with the best legal representation.
I'm so glad I found a Kick Above. It's like my very own personal training studio. A Kick Above removed the guesswork and intimidation and offered me a very supportive and structured environment specific to my personal goals. Kim Leverett and her certified personal trainers even offered nutritional guidelines for my personal workout. It's about me at a Kick Above. Call 501-868-8850 or go to akickabove.com. Now, what am I wearing tonight? Thanks to a Kick Above, I look marvelous.
The views and opinions expressed today on Black Focus Radio are not the views and opinions of the station, its management, or its advertisers. Now, let's get ready to focus on our issues, our solutions, using our voices on Black Focus Radio.
Welcome to Black Focus, the show designed with our community in mind, where we focus on our issues, developing our solutions, using our voices. Central Arkansas, surrounding areas, and the nation. Get ready. Black Focus starts right now. Phone lines open at 855-525-5683. So here's your host, David W. Coleman and Robert Webb.
All right, welcome back to the show. David Coleman here. Robert Webb is out today. 855-525-5683 is the number. That's how you get in touch with us. I'm taking Marcellus Wiley, who attacked Colin Kaepernick. Black on black. Now, this is black on black crime right here. Okay? You know, if I'm going to attack a brother, then I'm going to be able to make sure that I'm doing some of the same things that, or better than what that brother is doing. So in the top of the hour break, I did a little bit more research. You know, like I said, the internet will make a lie out of you and me if you're not careful. You know, it's always funny to me, you know, when the internet first hit, a lot of people didn't know how to use it. And a lot of people use the internet as a means of settling sports arguments. You know, and as I raised my children, instead of them answering their questions, I would ask, they would say, Dad, what about this? Or what? I say, the Google is a wonderful tool. As in, when I worked for Dell Computers for 15 years, many of you who have Dell and who have had to call Dell technical support, many of you may not have known that a lot of the information that Dell technicians were getting was from Google, the internet. In fact, Dell, it had gotten so bad at Dell that Dell started punishing some of our coworkers because they didn't use the Dell tool to troubleshoot because it was cumbersome. A lot of times it led to the wrong information, but Google was fast and to the point. And although when they told us that they would punish us if you didn't use that tool, so when you had to dispatch a part or when you made the log and it didn't show that you had used the Dell tool, you could get punished when they audit your records. That would affect your raises. That would affect your promotions. Anything that was positive, if you didn't use the Dell tool, they would punish you. So what we ended up doing is that we would use the Dell tool, but the first thing we would do is go out and Google the answer. I'm getting this code. Well, I gotta take 10 minutes to go through the Dell tool when all I gotta do is type the number, that code number into Google, and boom, Google brings it right up for me. So we would get the answer, help the customer, and then go through the log and put in the information based on the Dell log. That's how powerful the internet is and continues to be. So when you Marcellus Wiley, comes out the way you did, as if you are so holy than thou, against Colin Kaepernick. See, people like me, who are not going to be swayed by your argument, when I know it doesn't make sense, I'm simply going to Google Marcellus Wiley. So I Googled him, I Googled his wife, and I Googled the donations, the charities. So let me just tell you what I did in the last break. I just Googled Colin Kaepernick's charities. I got an entire list of different charities that Colin Kaepernick has donated money to. I got one from Marcellus Wiley. I've got 10. Here's one called Silicon Valley Debug. The first round of the final $100,000 went to an organization that Colin Kaepernick has worked with previously in his pledge, Silicon Valley Debug. Kaepernick announced that along with his $10,000 donation, Kevin Durant would match it, giving that organization $20,000. Project Advancement Project. See, remember Jesse Williams? Remember when Jesse Williams came out and made that eloquent speech, and all of a sudden, because Jesse Williams had a light complexion, there were stupid black people who began to chastise Jesse Williams and claim that Jesse Williams can't speak for black people because Jesse Williams had a light complexion. Day 2. Actor Jesse Williams chose the Advancement Project in Washington, D.C., a multiracial civil rights organization. They will receive $20,000 thanks to Colin Kaepernick. What you all don't realize is Colin Kaepernick has donated $920,000 toward his $1 million pledge. He only has $80,000 to go at this point. United Players. Stephen Curry is involved with this. He donated $10,000 to that. United Players. It was matched with another $10,000. Steph Curry matched it. That organization got $20,000. Hello, Marcellus. Where you at, bro? Where you at, Mike? I'm just saying. Mothers Against Police Brutality. I don't recall when I researched Marcellus Wiley, I didn't see where he was donating against or doing anything about police brutality. As a matter of fact, I don't even remember Marcellus Wiley even saying anything about police brutality. When your co-worker Jamel Hill was fired by ESPN, Marcellus Wiley, I don't remember you coming out and supporting Jamel Hill. You tucked your tail and ran, Marcellus Wiley. But here's another one that Colin Kaepernick has donated to. Mothers Against Police Brutality. Another $20,000. Where you at, Marcellus? I haven't seen you on this. And by the way, Colin Kaepernick even got Snoop Dogg to donate to this charity. After matching Colin Kaepernick's $10,000, Snoop Dogg later decided to donate another $15,000, which made the total $35K. I'm still looking for Marcellus Wiley's name on this. In fact, when I Googled Marcellus Wiley, I don't recall Marcellus Wiley. He's not even on the board of the charity that he so-called loves. Imagine LA. At the halfway point, Colin Kaepernick and Serena Williams joined the campaign to choose Imagine LA. Williams is a native of Compton, California. Here's Colin Kaepernick. My sister Serena Williams asked that I donate to Imagine LA, an organization dedicated to mobilizing the community to end the cycle of family homelessness and poverty. That's another $20K. Where you at, Marcellus? Angel by nature. We got a few more to go here because I'm proving a point here. Because you can't listen to everybody just because they are on the radio. That's why I tell you, don't believe what I say. Research what I say. Colin Kaepernick went to the South with his next volunteer, Atlanta's own T.I. the rapper, and picked Angel by Nature, a Houston-based organization. Oops. Another $20,000. Here's another one, Schools on Wheels. For day 7, Colin Kaepernick turned again to a musician, this time Janae Aiko. Aiko opted to help Schools on Wheels in her native Los Angeles. Hello? Schools on Wheels will get $20,000. Here's another organization that Colin Kaepernick. The organization would receive, this one is called Communities United for Police Reform. This organization would receive a whopping $40,000 thanks to Colin Kaepernick. Along with his $10,000 he donated, Nick Cannon donated $20,000, and Joy Badad chipped in another $10,000 because of Colin Kaepernick. Youth Services. He teamed up with Meek Mill and donated Youth Services Incorporated. That's another $20,000. Home. HOME, to finish his $1 million pledge of 10 for 10, Colin Kaepernick donated another $10,000 along with Usher to Home in Lithonia, Georgia. Hello. Home stands for Helping Oppressed Mothers Endure. Now, you see, Marcellus, had you helped some mothers endure, maybe a lot of these young black males that are in prison wouldn't be in prison. But Colin Kaepernick has put his money where his mouth is. Not only did he do that, but remember, he lost millions of dollars when the NFL blackballed him. What you doing, Marcellus? You just have your picture. And notice, when I went out to the charity's website that Marcellus is on, all it talked about was his football prowess, what he did in college and what he did in the pros. It doesn't say anything about how much money he's helped raise for that organization. Hello? I'm just asking the question here. So, who's padding your pocket, Marcellus? You want to get that NFL Network job, don't you? You want to stay at ESPN, don't you, Marcellus? Because I don't remember you coming out supporting Jamel Hill. I don't remember, brother. So get off of Colin Kaepernick. Because he's light-skinned. Because he doesn't agree with JayZ. JayZ, this wasn't JayZ's movement. JayZ is a Johnny-come-lately. JayZ, as a matter of fact, you talk about JayZ was bailing people out of jail. Well, guess what? JayZ is part of the reason a lot of these kids are in jail. It was his music that was pumping that poison into their minds. JayZ is Nino Brown. That's what JayZ is. JayZ is Nino Brown. And some of you ignorant black folks have bought his line hook, line, and sinker. And by the way, I'm going to send this to Marcellus Wiley via Twitter. I'd like to hear his response. 855-525-5683 is the number. We've got some other stuff to talk about this hour as well, but I just needed to I needed to say that. I needed to say that because I respect Colin Kaepernick. How many of you out there would give up your job, your salary? You know, being in the NFL is not a right, it's a privilege. It is a lot of work. It's hard work. And once you get there, you are happy to be there. There is no other profession on this earth that's going to pay you like a professional sports franchise. There's no other profession on this earth that's going to pay you the millions of dollars to play a game. And Colin Kaepernick gave up his dream to support a cause. And Marcellus Wiley was on ESPN and the NFL Network. And I don't recall Marcellus Wiley at any point calling out anybody about police brutality. You want to invoke Trayvon Martin's name, Marcellus Wiley? What did you do, Marcellus Wiley? You know, JayZ made the statement in his press conference that, what are y'all doing? Well, I'm going to flip that on you, Marcellus. What did you do? And what are you doing? Except running your mouth and running cover for the NFL and their racist policies. Why, look, even before this, Marcellus Wiley, why haven't you gone after the NFL? Because they don't have any owners. There are very few general managers in the NFL. The few coaches that they have in the NFL are the last to be hired and the first to be fired. The Arizona Cardinals hired a black coach for 1 year and fired him after 1 year. Marcellus Wiley, what did you say about that? The Denver Broncos hired a black coach and fired him after 2 years. Marcellus Wiley, what did you say about that? That same Arizona Cardinals team hired a white coach who was in college, who didn't have a winning record, to replace the black coach. Marcellus Wiley, what did you say about that, my brother? I know what you said, not a damn thing. But now you want to attack Colin Kaepernick? Oh, I know what it is. Is he getting more press than you, man? Is he more admired than you are, man? Is that what he is? Is that what he is? Oh, Lord have mercy. Our people are destroyed because of a lack of knowledge. You're a damn fool, Marcellus Wiley, and you look like a fool. Wow. 855-525-5683 is the number. Woo, Lord, 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 Lord. Wow. But I'm sorry, that just kind of boggled my mind. It did. All right, let's talk about a few other things before we get out of here today. Okay. I want to talk about this black woman who's married to a white guy. Have y'all heard this story? You know, I've told y'all over and over again that, you know, a lot of white males, they're taught by their fathers that you have not made love until you've slept with a black woman. You're not a man until you've slept with a black woman. So there are a lot of white boys who are running around here. All they want to do is sleep with black women. They don't want to take them home. And then if, for whatever reasons, they marry them, they treat them like crap. Their families treat them like crap. So I ran across this story the other day. It says, black woman reveals how Trump is ruining her marriage. My white Republican husband is starting to hate me. No, he already hated you. You just wasn't paying attention. Because if he loved you, he wouldn't allow politics to destroy his marriage. Let me read a little bit of this article to me because this was comical to me. Now look, there are a lot of great interracial marriages out there. I don't have a problem with that at all. But I know there are a lot of dark-skinned people who marry white people because they don't want their babies to grow up being chastised and criticized because of their dark skin. I know a lot of black women who marry the white men because they want to have pretty babies. Y'all know I'm telling the truth. In a Twitter rant on Saturday, a woman going by the name of Glass Butterfly hit a nerve by starting a discussion about the challenges of interracial marriages in the age of Trump. My white Republican husband is starting to hate me because the longer we live through this administration, the blacker I become. Any interracially and opposing politically affiliated couples going through this, like, I have no idea how to balance who we are or are becoming. The woman seemed surprised to find herself in this position after her tweets were liked thousands of times. She says, I wear African garb. I talk about the good fight, she explained. I'm the last person he wants to be involved with. If this is a test, he is failing. I didn't realize this tweet would get so much attention, the woman added. I don't even know how to answer everyone as I'm new to Twitter. Thank you for all of your advice and love. It made me cry. I'm trying to come to terms with who my husband really is, and it hurts. It's hard. I'm confused. Apparently, he isn't. What are you confused about? You know, if you have white friends and your white friend says, well, and you're black and your white friends say, well, you're not like those other black people. That's not a friend, my friends. If you marry interracially a white person and that person says to you, I married you because you're not like the others, they don't love you. That was an infatuation. And what this sister is beginning to realize is that infatuation is going away. It's dying. It has died. Now, she doesn't mention whether or not how long they've been married or how many children that they may or may not have, but I imagine they might have a few, one or two. So you're married to a white male who hates you because of what the president is saying. What does that tell you about that white male? It tells me that you should divorce him and never look back. And you should make sure that he doesn't get custody or get any visitation except supervised. Because not only is he mentally abusing you, He hates his children because his children were conceived with a black woman that has black blood. And no matter what you say, we've seen over and over again, racists don't care about children either. See the border of Mexico. You get that, right? You all follow this, right? We are confused. It fascinates me when sisters have a bad relationship with a black male and then they'll say, hey, I'm going to go date a white man, as if they don't treat their women bad. It fascinates me. I was talking to a sister 2 days ago. She's been dating this brother for a year. And this brother says that he's a real nigga. He wants to be able to date anyone he wants. And by the way, he want to date white women because white women are better than black women. Yet he lives in a house with this sister. She pays the majority of the bills. And she asked me, what do I think she should do? You're asking me? I told her she needs to dump that zero. Not because he wants to date white women, but because he doesn't respect her as a woman. People like that are confused. People like that are selfish. People like that don't care about the person that is outside of that relationship. It's all about what they can get for themselves. They don't care about other people. So yeah, she needs to dump that zero. And before you get into an interracial relationship, you need to find out what that person's parent thinks about race. Because if that parent thinks about race, a lot of these interracial relationships come about because it's despite mama or daddy. Don't you bring no white woman in this house. Don't you bring no black male in this house. She needs, exactly, Jackie. She needs to kick him to the curb. And she then needs to go to court and say, hey, look, this guy has mentally abused me. He doesn't like me because I'm black, and we have children together, and he does not have the right to be part of his children's lives. If so, it must be supervised visitation. Now, you're probably thinking, well, if you know me, I am a big father's rights advocate. But there are some fathers who don't deserve to be around their children. There are some mothers who don't deserve to be around their children. I watched a video the other day on Facebook, and this father was dancing with this little girl. I'm assuming it was the father. And she couldn't have been no more than 2 years old. And if you listen to the video, you could hear a woman, I'm assuming the mother, laughing in the background. Just laughing. And they're dancing, and it's so cute, and then it turns pathetic. Because then the little girl bends over, puts her hands on the floor, and starts shaking her butt like she's tweaking in front of that man, a grown man. And you know what the mother is doing? She's laughing. Hello? So what this sister needs to do, he needs to be kicked to the curb. See ya. Don't let the doorknob hit you where the dog should have bit you. Hello? Just say amen. No one to know I'm talking about y'all. No, it wasn't funny. But she was laughing, Jackie. And that post has been all over Facebook. It's shocking. It's stunningly shocking that a little 2-year-old girl would turn her butt up at a grown man and try to twerk in front of him. What has she been watching? Has she seen mama doing that? $855-525-5683 is the number. you know, by the way, shout out to Governor Gavin Newsom. You know, I think Governor Gavin Newsom is setting up his chance to run for president. Not this round, but later on. You know, the state of California has passed a law whereas that if you want to get on their primary ballot, you must release your income tax check, your income taxes. That's 5 years of your income taxes. Just recently, he signs a law that limits shootings by police. In other words, they've got to be justified to shoot and kill someone. This movement or this sickness that Americans have that police are above the law is just that, a sickness. You know, we talked a little bit yesterday on the show about the young man who was accosted. Two young men, he panicked and he ran, and the police officer shot him in the back and killed him. We've seen story after story all across this nation where police officers are killing black males. In fact, did you all know that the 6th leading cause of death of black men is police shootings? That shocked me when I read that article. The 6th leading cause of black men dying is being shot by the police. Huh? So when Governor Gavin Newsom signs this law, it sends a message. Yeah, there will be times when you need to use deadly force. But when someone is running away from you and your only argument is that I thought he had a gun, that ain't good enough. The Supreme Court has already ruled on that. It's called the fleeing felon law. You cannot run away. You cannot shoot a fleeing felon. You cannot shoot anyone just because you think that they committed a crime. Deadly force is designed to use only when your life is threatened. But we're seeing it over and over again. Charles Starks right here in Little Rock, his life wasn't threatened. He purposely jumped on that top of Bradley Blackshire's car and emptied his magazine into the chest of Bradley Blackshire. He purposely did that. And here we are debating whether or not he should be fired. You remember the story back in May, I believe it was in Wynne, Arkansas, where the young man, there was something going on this parking lot, and a lot of kids were hanging out, and the police walks up to this young man who was in a car, immediately pulls his weapon, and the brother sticks his arm out of the car and says, hey, the guy says, give me your ID. The young man said, I'm not moving. Look, you're going to shoot me. To make a long story short, that particular officer was fired yesterday. The police chief said he went against police training. He went against police protocol. September 4th, Jack, I'm getting to that. That particular officer went against police training. And because he failed to follow his training, he was fired. There was no debate. So here we are right now, getting ready to have another hearing for Charles Starks on September 4th by the Civil Service Commission to see if this man can get his job back. The police protocol is that, number one, you do not jump into in front of a car to stop a car. Number two, you do not shoot into a vehicle. Number three, you don't shoot into a vehicle that has other occupants in that vehicle. But Charles Starks did that very thing. This is no debate. He should not be a Little Rock police officer. But I'm afraid that he's going to end up being a police officer. and all across the country. Marcellus Wiley, what you doing about this, bro? I'm just asking the question. Whew. This is crazy, man. Here's an interesting story. A man has a t-shirt. You all have seen the Washington Redskins logo. And excuse me for saying Redskins. Typically, I don't refer to that team. I just call them Washington. Or I'll call them the Washington racial slurs, because their logo is a racial slur. So this brother by the name of Frederick Josephs decided to have a t-shirt made similar to the Washington Redskins logo. And what happened, instead of using the image of a Native American, he decided to use the picture of a white guy. And he called it the Washington Caucasians. And he talks about how many people were offended, white people were offended, because he was walking around with a shirt that said the Washington Caucasians. Y'all get this? Coming up here in a couple of weeks, there will be thousands of people at FedEx Field in Washington, D.C. I believe it's called FedEx. It may have changed. With the image of a Native American singing "Go Redskins, Go Redskins." And not one of those white people that are going to be at that game are going to figure out that, boy, that's really offensive. But because this black man wears a shirt that says the Washington Caucasians, white people are upset. There's a double standard in this country. There's a double standard in this country. Let me remind you that Steve Bannon, Trump's right-hand man, said, let them call you racist and wear it with a badge of honor. That's what they're doing. Because what y'all don't realize, that over the weekend, there were 4 more white males who were caught, who were planning mass killings. 4 more. And the Republican Party wants to blow smoke up your butt and say, oh, it's because of mental illness. Y'all keep believing that. It's kind of like y'all don't know Gary Webb, but it might behoove you to go out and read the story of Gary Webb. In fact, I posted part of his story on my wall today. We've had a huge debate about the 1994 crime bill. And I'm gonna merge 2 stories together, because there's another story out there that asked the question, and that's on my wall as well. What has the Black Caucus done for black people? I've said that a lot. Can when we talk about President Obama, what specifically did President Obama do for black people? He made me feel good. He made me proud. That's about it. He passed no legislation that benefited black people specifically. President Obama had the option to finally offer an official apology for slavery. He didn't do it. President Obama could have put forth legislation for reparations. He didn't do it. Many of the people that are in the Congressional Black Caucus have been in Washington even longer before Obama even got there, and they have done nothing. But when the 1994 crime bill came about, all of them went to white people to say, hey, we need your help. And what did they do? They came up with locking up our people. So most of those people that are congressional leaders who are black, they are just as party to the influx of crime, to the contributions of motherless homes, mothers with sons in prison as anyone. They did nothing. So I bring that up because you see, Gary Webb was a journalist for the San Jose Mercury News. Gary Webb exposed the crack cocaine that was being pushed, or I should say the cocaine that was being pushed into the black community. You remember that, see, if you had 5 grams of crack cocaine, you would get mandatory 5 years in prison. You could have 500 grams of powdered cocaine and you were getting probation. What is the difference? Because the people that was having the powdered cocaine was white. The people that had the crack cocaine was black. And they would try to make the argument and justify that, oh, crack cocaine created more violence. Well, you know what? If you didn't have the powder cocaine to make the crack cocaine, then you would not have the violence in the black community. But instead, black leaders decided to go along with President Clinton and Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden to pass an onerous crime bill that did nothing but disrupt and destroy the black community. And by the way, Gary Webb tried to alert all of you about this, but no one wanted to listen because it was Richard Nixon and Ronald Reagan, mainly Ronald Reagan, who was responsible for the influx of cocaine into America. Yeah, that same Ronald Reagan that white Republicans want to claim that he was some type of hero. Yeah, that same Ronald Reagan who just recently had tapes released of him making racist comments about black people. That same Ronald Reagan. That same Ronald Reagan who used Oliver North, who at one point was the president of the NRA, the National Rifle Association, to fly guns to the Nicaraguan Contras, and in return, they flew cocaine back on American planes into the United States. It was that same organization who used Freeway Rick Ross and threatened him to help them set up networks in black communities across this country where that they could traffic cocaine to black people. And in those black people, either they were killed, they were addicted, or they were imprisoned. That's how the 1994 crime bill, that's what it was supposed to solve. And by the way, Gary Webb he committed suicide. Let me explain his suicide to you. Gary Webb shot himself in the head. See, yesterday he would have been 63 years old. I've been following this story for decades. Gary Webb would have been 63 years old yesterday. But Gary Webb, be under so much pressure from his newspapers, who turned their backs on him, the federal government, he shot himself in the head, allegedly. And apparently the first shot didn't work, so he shot himself in the head again. Yeah, I'm being facetious here. So when I see a post where the Black Caucus hadn't done anything for the black community, I would say, I agree. See, at some point, just because you are a political affiliation, you shouldn't just go along to get along. Because at the end of the day, the reason you are in office is because black people put you in office. Every black politician across this country, you got votes. The majority of the votes that you got were from black people. Yet you do nothing for black people. By the way, that story is on my wall as well. Man, oh man, oh man. I wonder sometimes. Officer who put Eric Garner in chokehold was untruthful to investigators, judge said. Daniel Pantaleo, the murderer of Eric Garner, was fired after 5 years. And yesterday, as I listened to some of the news outlets, they said justice delayed, but this was justice. Now, wait a minute. And by the way, as of this morning, Daniel Pantaleo, there's a GoFundMe account where he has received close to $75,000. Y'all get that? So Daniel Pantaleo, 5 years ago, we all saw it with our own eyeballs. He murdered a black man in broad daylight on a New York street. And they lied and said this man had thousands of cigarettes, Lucy's as they call them. But Daniel Pantaleo lied. In fact, the officers involved, when they went and looked at their reports, they had cleaned up their reports. So he was finally fired. And I heard people yesterday say, this is justice. This is justice. No, it isn't. Eric Garner is dead. Eric Garner's children doesn't have a father. Daniel Pantaleo is getting money. $75,000 and counting for killing a black man. Muhammad Noor is spending 12 years in prison. Y'all remember Muhammad, don't you? The Sudanese immigrant who loved America and wanted to become a police officer and did so in Minneapolis and ended up being startled by a white woman in the dark. He shoots and kills her. And he ends up being convicted and going to jail. All of those people who claim that they love police, Muhammad Noor didn't get $75,000. But Daniel Pantaleo, he lives. Hello. That tells you the value of black life. That tells you how many of them feel about black life. In other words, that $70,000 said, hey, we proud that you hung that nigga. Here's $75,000. This is your prize. This is what this has turned into is the Kill the Black Man game show. Spin the wheel. Kill a black man or a woman. You get $100,000. And you get to walk away. (855-525-5683) is the number. That's how you get in touch with us. You want to call the show. One other story that I want to talk about today before I get out of here. You know, I have relatives, and I'm going to be real, that do not shop at black businesses. I have relatives that chastise and get upset if you tell them to shop at black businesses, and they'll give you all kinds of reasons why, and to the point where they'll cuss you and want to fight you. I remember talking to a friend of mine who had a daughter who was going to become a doctor. And I was talking to her about shopping at black businesses and how that would empower our communities. And she gave me all kinds of excuses. And I asked her, I said, you know, when your daughter becomes a doctor, would you want me to go and see her if I had an ailment that she could fix? She said, yes, by all means. I said, I would never do that. She got offended. She said, why? Can't believe you say that. You say you're Afrocentric, you black this, you talk black that, you talk black this. I said, well, see, here's the problem. Why would I allow your daughter to be my doctor when you, her mother, don't support black businesses? She said, oh, well, you know, that's different. Is it? At the end of the day, her title might be doctor, but she's still a business person. The dream of every doctor is to have their own practice. These satellite surgery centers that are popping up, those are doctors who have invested their money in these satellite surgery centers because they have cut the hospitals out and the middlemen out. So that money goes straight to them. That's a business. I said, I would not allow your daughter to be my doctor because she's black. She says, well, that makes no sense. I said, really? I said, you just told me and you gave me a litany of excuses why you don't shop at black businesses. I said, what's going to make your daughter's business any different? She was stunned. Here's my point. White doctors' text messages about how they feel about black women and black people leaks. A white doctor was taken to court after his text messages about how he and his colleagues feel about black people and other minorities. He was read his text messages and had to confess to them under oath. He states all of his other doctor friends are just like him. The video of the deposition that took place May 17th, 2019 has been released and is going viral. What I would advise you to do, and by the way, this doctor's name is Carl Anthony Simon. And what I would advise you to do is have a serious conversation with your doctor. There's already been studies that doctors don't provide the pain medicine to black patients that they do to white patients. There's been plenty of studies that says that when you as a black person go to a doctor, and in fact, I've got a friend who has lupus, and the doctors did not believe that she was ill. If you knew her, she'd tell you the story of how she had to do self-diagnoses to figure out that she has lupus because the doctor didn't believe him. Hello? The source reported Simon's private conversations to the Team Health and Memorial Hermann Hospital chains in Houston on August 18, 2018. According to news sources, the hospital, instead of firing Simon, publicly released the anonymous source's name, and Simon sued the source for defamation. Thankfully, the judge threw out the defamation case, and the source sued the hospital because they originally promised to keep his name anonymous. After learning more, when the video was released and there was now public proof, Memorial Hermann CEO made a post on social media stating that Simon doesn't work there anymore. So wait a minute, you have a doctor working at your hospital who is a racist, who doesn't treat black patients the same as white patients, and someone turns him in, and instead of firing that doctor, the hospital fires the person who turned him in. Hello? I made a post the other day that racism is a social construct. It is baked into our society. It is baked into every institution that is in America. And the only way to beat racism is to destroy the current system and rebuild it from the ground up. That's why I don't carry water for other organizations. That's why I don't march for other organizations. I am about black causes because there is too much for us to fight together as opposed to turning against one another. So I bring this story to you today because, first of all, I want you to go out to my wall and read it. You'll need to scroll down. In fact, let me repost it so it will be at the top of my wall. But now when you go to a doctor and you've got a white doctor, you need to make sure, do not be afraid to ask questions. Do not be afraid to research. Because after all, he's your doctor. You're paying him. Your insurance is paying him. I tell my friends that when you hire an attorney, just because they have that name, just because they have that title, you are paying them. That money is coming out of your pocket. If that person is not doing what you think he should be doing, then you need to report them to the Board of Professional Responsibility. I saw a study a few years ago where black women are rarely diagnosed with heart problems. That's a race issue. You don't think there are white supremacists in hospitals? You don't think white supremacists own police departments? You don't think there are white supremacists in politics? White supremacists is in every institution that is in America. Because America is based on white supremacy. And until that institution is destroyed, black people are at risk. All right, that's going to do it for the show today. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. I am Dynamic Dave. I'm just tired of racism, folks. I want it to end. I'd like to know that when I die, that my children and my grandchildren will grow up in a world where racism didn't exist. Dr. King, over 40 years ago, said he would love it that black children will be judged by not their skin color, but the content of their character. Here we are 40 years later, and we have not moved one bit. Racism, white supremacy, it's not a figment of your imagination. It's real. And until we stand up and do something about it, until we continue to fight with every ounce of our being, it will continue. Here's what Frederick Douglass said: the lesson taught at this point by human experience is simply this, that the man who will get up will be helped up. The man who will not get up will be allowed to stay down. Personal independence is a virtue, and it is the soul out of which comes the sturdiest manhood. But there can be no independence without a large share of self-dependence. And this virtue cannot be bestowed. It must be developed within. Y'all have a great day.
You've been listening to Black Focus, where we discuss our issues with our solutions and our voices. Join us every weekday afternoon at 1 p.m. on jointradio.com.